be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle. Welcome to the Thought Brothers. I'm Gary Johnson. Today is a Hot Topics show. We've got everybody in the house today. Nobody's on special assignment. We're going to lead off with Mr. Spivey, the researcher. Mr. Spivey, what say you? What's going on?
Well, Gary, I'm going to talk about something that Carlos and CJ both probably going to find interesting because both of them are sports people. And I know CJ is heavily involved in sports, but I've been trying to follow something that I came across. And I really have been trying to do my research. But there was a Wall Street Journal article that came out, and it was written by this guy, Sean McLean. And it's talking about Caitlin Clark. Very, very interesting article. And I'm going to just give you some highlights of where the article, the flavor of the article. And it started off talking about Clark has done for the WNBA what Michael Jordan did for the NBA. She's made the WNBA more valuable, watchable, marketable. And it went on to talk about that she was the all-time scoring, set the all-time NCAA scoring record for men and women. Talked about the offers that Nike and Under Armour and Adidas and Puma tried to pursue with her, and that Under Armour offered her $16 million over 4 years and a signature shoe, but Nike ended up sealing a deal with her with the $28 million contract over 8 years. And they are in the process of doing the signature shoe for her. And it was a lot of, they talked about the article, not in that particular article, but another site that I looked at. And they were talking about she did not get, even though they compare her to Michael Jordan for the WNBA, she didn't get the contract that Michael Jordan got with Nike. So she got the 28 million over 8 years, but she did not get any royalties. I'm saying all of this to say this. The article is basically leaning towards Caitlin Clark, that the WNBA is ignoring the relinquished targeting of Caitlin Clark, and that this targeting is becoming a liability to the WNBA. And it went on to talk about since joining the WNBA, the merchandising sales has increased 601%. Indiana viewing has increased 170%. The team's value tripled, and the league's subscription has gone up 366%. App engagement 613%, and endorsements topped $11 million. And it basically ended up talking about she's the economic engine that's driving the WNBA. I said all of that to say this, and this is something that is going to probably come down the pipe. There was a letter written by a congressman to the WNBA, and I'm going to try to read it very quickly. Congress and administration should demand answers from the WNBA leaders, investigate officiating in NBA league communications, hold hearings, and insist on real reform. The Department of Labor should review the league's protocol for workplace safety. If evidence shows discrimination or retaliation, the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division must act. If leaders remain inert, Congress should consider the WNBA's special privileges, including its antitrust and broadcast considerations. Checking referees' work with the NBA-style last 2-minute reports would be a meaningful first step. I'm saying all that to say this. It looks like Caitlin Clark is going to become a political issue. And it looks like the Trump administration is going to use that is a political issue. They're saying that she's being unfairly targeted, um, and they have a lot of ammunition that they're going to use to do this. Caitlin Clark received 1.29 million All-Star votes, but still was ranked ninth among the guards. She was left off of the USA uh, uh, basketball Olympic team. And being that she had been beat up so bad, she was not able to even play in the All-Star game. And it talked about the All-Star viewership went down 36%. They only had 2 million viewers. Last year they had 3 million. And so what they're doing is they're going to do the same. They're anticipating that what Congress is going to do and the Trump administration is going to do is going to do the same thing they did to Harvard and Columbia University. They went after Harvard and Columbia because Trump set up an anti-Semitic team. And they went after Harvard and Columbia because they felt that they had downplayed the threat and failed to protect the students. Congress and Trump demanded answers, and they sued Columbia and Harvard. I don't know if you are familiar, but recently Columbia settled that suit for $221 million because of the civil rights violation. And this is what is being anticipated that they're going to use to come after the WNBA for Caitlin Clark being targeted. Another statistic that they're going to probably use is this girl received 17 flagrant fouls. No one was suspended, and that's more than any player in the WNBA or the NBA. I just want to, and it went on. And I mean, I know people looking at this is going to say, well, what about Angel Reese? And what about the stuff going on with her and Robert Griffin and the poster that he put up? But the bottom line is Angel Reese is popular. She's valuable, but she's not the box office attraction of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, in my opinion, is become the same to the WNBA as Michael Jordan became to the NBA and as Tiger Woods became to golf. When Tiger Woods first came on the scene in golf, I remember there were a lot of animosity. A lot of people talked about he came out and the first golf ball he hit, he was worth $200 million because he had signed a contract with Nike and American Express. But as Phil Mickelson said later on, Tiger Woods made all of us rich because we had never seen purses in golf tournaments that came after Tiger Woods. Another thing you got to consider when you talk about, and I know people are going to say, well, Caitlin Clark didn't do all of this for the WNBA. WNBA never had chartered planes. The salaries that they have out there now, they have never seen before. The crowds are sold out, and the TV ratings has gone through the roof. And from what I'm gathering from this Wall Street article, the Trump administration and Congress and the Republicans are going to probably try to use Caitlin Clark like they're using any other thing to try to defer against this Jeffrey Epstein heat that he's getting. So I just threw that out. That's my 8 minutes, and
All right.
I'd like to get y'all's comment on it.
Can I jump in here? Because
Yeah.
this has been a thing for a while. You said Caitlin Clark is becoming a political issue. She's been a political issue for the right for a long time. Most of the people in this debate don't watch any WNBA basketball. All this congressman, I bet, has never watched a minute of WNBA basketball, and none
I
of these
don't disagree
people
with you at all,
do.
CJ.
And so that's one aspect of it. It's outrage bait because Caitlin Clark is seen as this white girl from Iowa in this league of black lesbian aggressive women. That's how they want to frame it. And that's the framing that the right wing wants to put up, that these black girls are ungrateful for the money that this poor white girl has brought to the league, the Robert Griffin argument and all that. And that's the narrative that they run with. But at the same time, Caitlin Clark is not the only reason that the WNBA has exploded in popularity, and that's one of the reasons that the players have resentment towards her, like Angel Reese and some other players have mentioned, because you mentioned many things in there, like her being ninth in All-Star voting. Caitlin Clark's not having a great season, So like just to give her all-star, voting at the top of the voting, the fan vote and the player vote is very different. Just like in the NBA, the players and the coaches vote and the fans vote. So she's going to be popular in the fan vote, but she is not popular among other players for obvious reasons and things like that. So there's other factors that go into that. For her to be taking flagrant fouls, one, she plays a little bit dirty. If you watch Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark is not the cleanest player there either. She does a lot of complaining. She's not the most likable personality other, but she's great player. So there's other things. So most players don't get suspended for flagrant fouls. She could take flagrant fouls all day. I mean, that's just a hard foul unless they're Draymond Green clotheslining her out the air or something like that. Then that's not suspending worthy plays. You mentioned Michael Jordan. Do you remember what the bad boy Pistons did to Michael Jordan when he came into the league? They didn't coddle him and bow at his feet and say thank you for bringing this much. They are veterans in this league. There are stars before Jordan. There are stars after Jordan. That's what those players want to know. And there are other stars in the league. Arguably, so as somebody who's watched a lot of games, Angel Reese might have had a better season than Caitlin Clark this season with her injuries and the other things that have went on. And there Paige Beckers. We have a new rookie sensation who might be better than Caitlin Clark, who's having a great season for Dallas. So there's other reasons, there's other stars that the reason that the league continues to grow. And it's not just Caitlin Clark, as great of a player that she is. Again, I think this is all polarized because she's been used as a political figurehead for the right wing to as a vehicle to protect their straight white, Iowa, that's the framing, where she's from and things like that. So that is where a lot of this stems from. Most of these people don't watch WNBA basketball. They don't watch any of it, and they're using it to, as you said, to take advantage of a political situation to distract from their very poor leadership.
Let me ask a
CJ,
question before Carlos gets in, and before you come back, let me just ask a question. How many of us on this panel have watched the WNBA game?
I watch
I've
it on a
watched
regular
one,
basis.
not this season.
I did not
Okay.
watch it before Caitlin Clark, and I
Watch it.
have to admit that.
Yeah, see again, and there's great players in it. And again, you talked about the Olympic team, and they talked about how she was snubbed. She probably wasn't one of the 12 best players to send over there. Yes, she's popular, but the Olympics are not a popularity contest. Like that's not exactly why they select players for that. That's what the All-Star game is for. The All-Star game is partly a popularity contest. So again, she's in the All-Star game because of fan voting. She's a great player. She deserves to be an All-Star. But the Olympics is different. That's a different game. You're trying to like win gold. You want to send your best. As a rookie, she was not one of the 12 best. Like that is just what it is. If you watch hoops, you know that she's great. She is a phenom. She is a franchise altering player in terms of how she's marketed and brought popularity and eyes to the league. But at the same time, she's not the best player in the WNBA. She's not an MVP conversation type player yet. And again, she's having even before the injuries was having a pretty rough season. She's not shooting the ball well this season, and she's turning the ball over all over the place this season. And she's got a little Luka Doncic in her in terms of she likes to complain after every single play, which again gets a little bit annoying and kind of grates on her likability as a player, the same way it does for Luka. So there's a lot of other factors and things going on. And again, we have Paige Beckers, another phenom, but she is a very, I would say, welcome to the cookout kind of white girl, so she doesn't get the love from the right wing because she's always very outspoken of her support for black women and her black peers. So the right wing don't want anything to do with Paige Beckers, but Caitlin Clark doesn't comment on any of those things, so they can project their political will upon her and say, oh, because she doesn't speak about this stuff, which is smart for her. She doesn't want to get involved. She wants to focus on basketball. I understand that. But they're going to project, oh, because she doesn't say anything, she secretly, she's with us. She's and they're putting that conservative agenda and associating it with Caitlin Clark unfairly because we don't know if she believes or agrees with those, idiots that, pretend to support her. But again, as I point out, most of those people don't watch WNBA basketball. Like, as a kid, we were going to Mystics games and things like that. Like, I've actually watched the game and have watched it for a long time. So it is very frustrating to see people who have never, and still to this day, haven't watched a WNBA game, have so much to say about the league.
All right.
All right, well,
Carlos.
let me throw something in there. I mean, I think everything you guys, is saying is obviously Mr. Spivey is factual. What CJ is saying is factual. Bottom line is the WNBA has just gotten better, right? It's 25 seasons in. or yeah, something like 25 seasons in, plus now. The league has just gotten stronger, better. They expanded. They have a better system in place to draft players, recruit players. The league is better. It's not just Caitlin Clark. Now, what's selling with Caitlin Clark is the fact that she has something that I would like to call Lin Sanity. You guys remember a guy named Jeremy Lin, who
Oh
was
yeah.
like the first Taiwanese,
Mhm.
Chinese American ball player to be like a superstar in the NBA for like 2 seasons with the
With
Knicks.
Knicks.
Okay, they had
It
Lin
was
Sanity
two
going, but
weeks.
was it like 2
It
weeks?
was like 2 weeks. It wasn't those 2 seasons.
Hey, look, he had it going on for about 2 weeks, then I'll say. But this guy, people were just tuned in. They loved it because it was something different. It was a guy from a different cultural background that was had a short dominant run with the Knicks and helped them have a winning season for, first time in a while. And he became extremely popular. Now that faded pretty fast, like CJ said. It was pretty fast, okay? Um, he wasn't the best player in the league. He wasn't the best player in the game. He was just simply different, and he was pretty good. I think Caitlin Clark is pretty good. I think she's different. That's why she's marketed. She's marketed to remember what black people make up like 13% of the country. There's a lot of white folks out there who want to see a young white girl from the Midwest do well in the WNBA. That's going to make a lot of money for people who live in different areas of the country, and want to go see her play. So I think all those things are coming into play right now. Um, we'll see if it sustains, because I think the key will be, can she be good over a long period of time? When Michael Jordan came into the league, they was like, he can't play defense. And Michael Jordan's like, I'll show you. And next thing the next season he came back and won Defensive Player of the Year. So let's see how good she is when we start talking about longevity, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years into the game, because that will define if she's a great player or not, and if all this hype is justified. Because if she has championships, if she has all-star appearances, defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year, all those different things, then maybe we can say, you know what? Maybe she's not the female Michael Jordan, but maybe she's the female Larry Bird. Okay. And, people are enjoying it. So good for Caitlin Clark if she does well. But I do think the NBA is better because of people like Angel Reese and a lot of other athletes who are just as good as Caitlin Clark. They're just not getting the exposure. So that's my take on Mr. Spivey's entrance to tonight's show.
Mr.
I don't,
Spivey, comments there, Mr. Spivey,
I don't
before we
disagree with
transition.
anything. I don't disagree with much of anything. I will disagree with one of the things CJ talked about with Detroit Pistons and Isaiah Thomas and them. They beat up everybody before Michael Jordan came into the league and after Michael Jordan came into the league. They would, Lambeer, he must have got in more fights than any other NBA player.
Rick
But now,
Mahorn.
Yeah,
huh?
I know my
Rick
basketball
Mahorn.
history.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They were terrorists.
Yeah. My point is,
But
they didn't stop that behavior for Michael Jordan because his airness came in and had a big contract. Like I said,
but
they're going to treat you just like anyone else.
I'm not a big Caitlin Clark fan, but I'm not you. You can say whatever you want to about the WNBA, but since Caitlin Clark has come into the WNBA, the WNBA has rose. You can't dispute the figures. The team's value tripled. You can't dispute the viewership. You can't dispute the app engagement, and you can't dispute the sales, the merchandising sales. They've just increased tremendously. The one thing that is a concern is that, and one of the other things CJ brought up, talking about the U.S. Olympic team is not a popularity thing. CJ, I'll call your attention to this last U.S. Olympic team. Who did they freeze out because he wasn't popular and damn near didn't let him play? Tyrese Halliburton, who showed his ass during the All-Star game. So don't tell me it ain't popularity.
Who was playing in front of him though? Like Steph Curry?
But Steph Curry is one person. The man didn't play hardly at all, and he made him pay during the NBA championships. But
It's just like Caitlin Clark, you got to wait your turn. Like I
I'll
said,
close out by saying simply this: before Caitlin Clark, the Washington Mystics used to go to National Airport or Dulles Airport, fly standby or sit and wait for their plane. Today they got their own private plane. The salaries have gone up. The crowds have gone through the roof. When Caitlin Clark was drafted by Indiana, their their season tickets sold out within an hour. And it's real plain and simple. I think I went to one of the WNBA games, and Angel Reese and them had played, I think, the weekend before, and they had something like 6,000 people. Caitlin Clark came in a week after, and they had 16,000 people. So, I mean, it's undeniable she's had an influence on the WNBA. But I'm just going to keep an eye on this thing with the administration, because I think that they're going to, from the letter that they sent to the WNBA and these other little things that I hear, I think they're going to try to make an example, and they're going to use anything they can to deflect. And if they use Caitlin Clark to show that there's a civil rights violation, that will kind of boost up their base that they're losing right now because of the Epstein stuff. So Donald Trump is going to use whatever he can to deflect.
His
And that's
base
just
is
my
not
thing.
watching WNBA games. Like
They ain't watching WNBA, but if he's defending this poor white girl from Indiana who's getting beat up with 17 flagrant fouls,
that's not going to
and
make them forget
double,
that he's a
and
pedophile.
don't
Like,
forget, it's double the amount of any NBA player or WNBA player. You can't get around those statistics, and they're going to use them. That's just the bottom line.
I promise you that's not going to be a make or break for a MAGA cultist. Like I said, if you're still
No,
riding with
I'm
him
saying it's
at
going to be
this
a
rate,
I'm saying it's going to be a make or break if they decide to go after the WNBA for civil rights violation.
they have no case.
Come on, man. The next thing you're going to tell me is Trump is going to tell the Washington Commanders to change their name back to the Redskins. Oh, he already did that, right?
Oh yeah, and he
I
told
guess
him he's going
anything's
to
possible
withhold.
then. What the hell?
I mean, if you remember, Trump made a political issue out of Colin Kaepernick taking a knee during the Olympics. And I think I saw a video where Marshawn Lynch was sitting on a cooler eating a banana while the national anthem being played. Nothing was said. So I'm just saying it's going to be a possibility with this Wall Street Journal article that they're going to try to make a political issue out of this.
Okay. Carlos, you're up next. You're in the batter's box. Go
All
ahead.
right, let me do it. Since we're on women's sports, let me just go ahead and throw this one out here, right? It's football season, right? First, the Hall of Fame game was last week. We had the Hall of Fame ceremony at Canton, Ohio on August 2nd. Had the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association of Prince George's County have their Hall of Fame on Saturday, August 2nd. Football season has officially started, okay? And with that being said, I heard recently in the news, and I have some information, that the NFL is now throwing a lot of money at supporting women's flag football. How about this, right? And I say it said, quote unquote, NFL supported women's flag football is offering leagues for all ages and skill levels, promoting growth through initiatives like NFL flag football and partnerships with organizations like the NAIA to establish a college sport. The NFL is committed to increasing opportunities for female players, evidenced by campaigns like Run With It, featuring international star Diana Flores, and the upcoming 2028 Olympics inclusion of flag football. We see Jalen Hurts throwing the football to the top of the LA Coliseum. But yeah, flag football's there for men and women. And many states now sanction girls' flag football as a high school varsity sport, creating a path for college scholarships. It hasn't gotten to Prince George's County, Maryland. I heard it is active in Montgomery County. What are you guys' thoughts on flag football for women and the NFL trying to promote this? Could this mean there could be a professional women's flag football league one day? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Thought there was already a professional women's flag league, or probably semi-pro flag leagues and things like that. It's gained popularity. Like I said, I think it's a good idea for the NFL to invest and that they're trying to invest all over the place, not just that, but also, like I said, internationally. As you see, the NFL does more international games every year. Mexico City, they keep talking about trying to put a team in Mexico City or London, or trying to expand and more into Canada and do like that and make the game more global, because people forget, because football is like a religion here in the United States, that it's not the global game. When you leave the United States, it's all about soccer and basketball and other sports and baseball if you go down to Latin America. So things like that. So it's great that they're still smart enough to invest in expanding their game and trying to get new people, into football.
All right.
Well,
Well, guys,
Carlos,
what do you think,
my
Mrs. Bobby?
my opinion is I'm gonna go along with Troy Aikman. He got in trouble on a Monday night football game. I think they should turn the NFL into a flag football, simply because if you touch a quarterback today and push on him and he falls down, that's a foul. I mean, and you hit a guy who's going up in the air for a pass, you catch him and clip him and he goes down. That's a foul. You can get ejected from the game. You hit a quarterback low, you can get ejected from the game. Troy Aikman said one night on Monday Night Football they should put flags on all of them. He caught hell for it, but I think they should invest in flag football and make it professional.
You heard it on the Thought Brothers. With that being said, thank you guys. Gary, any perspective on women's flag football? All right, I'm going to move on to the big stuff. I'm going to give you the NFL power rankings before I turn it over to CJ. All right, with football season coming here, I'm going to go 32 through 1 in the next 30 seconds. I guess I got 6 minutes, but I'll take it. We can come back and talk about it. Is there any surprise that on the NFL power rankings for 2025, the number 32 team is the Cleveland Browns, who have about 5 quarterbacks right now and can't decide who's going to be the starter? No surprise there. Number 31, the New Orleans Saints. Man, life without Drew Brees has been a little tough lately, and it seems like it keeps getting worse. Derek Carr, the quarterback they traded and got from the Raiders a few years ago, retired. So now Kellen Moore, wow, the coach, I don't know. It's a mess down there. I won't even get into names because we don't know who could be starting. It could be RG3 when the season starts. We'll see. All right. At number 30, we're looking at the New York Giants. Well, in a division of 4 teams, it's safe to say the Giants will finish last. Okay. I do like that new running back, big running back. Reminds me of John Riggins. I believe Scatterboo or Scatterbarrow.
Scatterboo.
Yeah, Scatterboo, man. I wish Washington had picked him up. I think that guy's gonna be really good. So keep our eyes on him. That could be the future. And Daniel Jones, I think he's with Minnesota now, but we'll get to them in a minute. The number 29 team, you don't have to go far from 30 to 29. They play in the same stadium. The New York Jets are number 29. This is incredible. How can you have 2 teams in one of the largest sports markets in the entire world and have them ranked almost last in the same league next to each other? New York's got to figure something out for football. Maybe Joe Namath can come back at age 75 or whatever, or 80 or whatever, and make something happen. I don't know, but they got to figure something out. The Carolina Panthers, number 28. Carolina, I think, is going to do better than 28, okay? I think the key with them is they're sticking with the quarterback they have. And I forgot exactly his name, but Bryce Young, his development has been really slow. And also, I'm going to be honest with you, I like the guy. I think he's sharp, but to be 5'10" in the NFL and play quarterback, that is a tough one. Unless you're Doug Flutie, I don't know of any guy who's been really successful under 6 feet. So that's going to be a tall order. If Bryce Young can figure it out, the Carolina Panthers will figure it out. The Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. I'm going Anthony Richardson at quarterback, okay? Better athlete, better arm. I think the key is, can the Colts finally get something consistent going? I think they were up and down last season. Consistency is their key. Number 26, Tennessee Titans. Yeah, number 26. Let me just go right past them. They ain't got nothing going on. Number 25, Miami Dolphins. Number 25, they got Tua. I predict, will play more games this season than he's played in the last 5 years. I predict he'll play 7 out of 17. Come on, Tua. You might want to consider retirement, man. The guy is a great quarterback, but he cannot stay on the field. So that's going to be tough. All right, number 24, Las Vegas Raiders. They got Pete Carroll. Pete's like 75. He's still running 4.5 40s up and down the sideline, chasing down referees and everything. the bottom line is, was it Geno Smith is their quarterback? Geno's a journeyman. He's not a bad quarterback. He's just a journeyman. So the question is, will the Raiders improve, show new ways under an old school coach, or will it be the same old Raiders of the last 25 years? I personally miss the Raiders I grew up with Ken Stabler and Jack Tatum and all those guys, but maybe they'll come back one year. I don't think it'll be this year. Jacksonville Jaguars, they still got Trevor Lawrence. That's about it. Number 23 is fitting. New England Patriots, they went ahead and got your boy, what's the coach's name? Mike Vrabel. Vrabel is back. They never even wanted the coach last year. Vrabel, the Patriots will be better, but they'll still suck. That's my prediction. Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons now have Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback. They'll be better. They gave the Commanders a challenge in the playoffs last year, or towards the end of the season. But they will be better. So keep your eye on Atlanta. I think they'll be up and coming in the years. And I think Kirk Cousins is still robbing them. But he's got the Brinks truck backed up, and he's still getting a boatload of money. But we'll see what happens. Micah Parsons. I think he's staying with Dallas. I think he just signed a contract. So with Dallas is ranked number 20. I don't know how that's going to come down. We'll see. The Seahawks, number 19. They got a good defensive coach from the Ravens. We'll have to see how that shakes out. Nothing special about Seattle right now. Arizona Cardinals at 18. They got Kyler Murray back. He should be healthy. Marvin Harrison Jr. They'll be a better team, but still not a major threat. 17, Chicago Bears. I think this is too generous for the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams is still trying to find himself, and we'll see what happens. For them to be a midway team, I still predict they end up at about 7-10. Number 16, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers. The Bears might be better. Next, San Francisco 49ers at 15. That's a little rough. I think if they get back to where they used to be with Brock Purdy, they can move up. Number 14, Houston Texans. I like their coach down there, and I think Houston could actually do something this year. Well, keep your eye on Houston. They were good a couple of years ago, and they got a good young quarterback. Los Angeles Chargers, I'm not sure about them this year, so we'll have to make sure we're good to go. Cincinnati Bengals, they got a great quarterback in Joe Burrow. Look out for them. And here's the final. Well, we have at number 11, Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos. And here's the drum roll of my presentation. Number 10, Minnesota Vikings. No Kirk Cousins. They'll be fine. Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford's back. He's about 50, but he's still great. Going from there, my list froze on me. Green Bay Packers. We got Jordan Love. Green Bay will be solid. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 7 is too high, but the Washington Commanders at 6 is too low. Number 5 to finish out, Detroit Lions at 5. They'll be good. 4, the MVP will lead the way for Buffalo. 3, Kansas City. Number 2, Baltimore Ravens. And number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll tell you this and make the bold prediction at the beginning of the season. How about this one? Washington over Buffalo in the Super Bowl. A little throwback to 1992 is going to happen in February 2026. That's my prediction for the NFL for 2026. Bam! That's it. All right, CJ, take it away, brother. What you got for us?
That was fun. I have to talk about stuff not as fun. Let's talk about politics and the Democrats. And I would like to talk about AIPAC. Unfortunately, again, they're in the news. We kind of talked about this before the show, but well, I'm gonna start with a specific Democrat. I would like to address one Mr. Cory Booker. If you don't sit your goofy ass down, please. Like, I am really, really tired of Cory Booker, and many young people are. Cory Booker went on CNN to not endorse Zoran Mamdani, and he said he's going to stay out of that and not endorse the super popular Democrat right next door, and for whatever reason. But there is a reason, because Cory Booker in a leaked audio recording says he and the president of AIPAC text together back and forth like teenagers, in his own words. So there's a reason that Cory Booker can grandstand and do a speech for like 24 hours straight, but not mention the genocide that Israel is doing for in a whole 24 hours. I guess he forgot. He left it out of his 24-hour filibuster speech and didn't have time to fit that in there. But it might be because he's texting back and forth with AIPAC like a teenager, in his own words. Um, to go back to this, back in 2009, he endorsed Mayor Bloomberg 3 weeks, and not just Mayor Bloomberg, who wasn't even a Democrat at the time, but then in 2021, he reached out to Eric Adams, the cartoonishly corrupt Eric Adams, within 3 weeks of him winning. So these are the type of people that he would endorse with no, hesitation. But Zoran, for some reason, is a step too far, and I'm sure it has something to do with all the AIPAC money Cory Booker took. Also, Cory Booker seen shamefully hiding in the back of a picture as all the AIPAC paid candidates stand and pose with war criminal, aka the new Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu, when he came to town. Cory Booker is literally in the back of the photo trying to cower and still be in the photo because they probably told his ass he needs to be in the photo and proudly support this war criminal. And he knows that it is shameful to do so. So really tired of Cory Booker and his grandstanding and his speeches of he tries to give these big, you know, theatrical West Wing type speeches that have absolutely no substance. And it's very annoying. And we would like serious politicians or maybe people who are actually popular and respond to people like maybe Zoran Mamdani, who he refuses to endorse. But when there's any other Democrat, they have a line that they give you every time, every election: vote blue no matter who. Vote blue no matter who, because you got to beat those Republicans, unless there's someone an actual to the left, like a Bernie Sanders or a Zoran. Then it's like, I don't know about this Democrat. We need to maybe, they're talking about teaming up with Trump and Eric Adams and doing anything they can to keep that mayor's race out of the hands of Zoran Mamdani. So just some of the power that AIPAC has over the Democrats, but also the Republicans who went on recess early in order to not vote on the Jeffrey Epstein thing this week. But what they did have time to do on their recess was meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu again. Netanyahu everywhere in American politics. He met yesterday evening with an AIPAC organized delegation of Republicans in Congress. So they didn't have time to vote on Epstein, but they do have time to assemble for their real leader and their real boss when Benjamin Netanyahu comes to town. Even John Fetterman throws on a suit. And usually, and they really, Trump's pushing in his chair, and we see who our real overlords are here in America right now. And again, this also ties into Trump announcing that he would withhold federal disaster relief for states that boycott Israeli businesses. So again, going back to America first, he's going to let people die of floods who don't sufficiently support Israel in his eyes. So again, you see why a large factor of his MAGA base is turning on him, because he campaigned as America first, and the ones that are not already, just drank all the Kool-Aid, anyone that has any type of common sense or had any principles, which not many of them that voted for him, but some who are just duped, have to reckon with the fact that they were duped. And it's really hard for, in human nature to admit you were wrong, to admit that you were game. So that's really where we're at in America. We have a large swath of people that have egg on their face and do not want to admit that they have egg on their face when they thought Donald Trump would really fight against the establishment and he would, try to save the girls, even though he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a decade and all these things. And they're watching their promises not be fulfilled. And we'll see if there are any repercussions, because as I said before, the Democrats aren't doing anything to capitalize on this. Like, they also are trying to bury the Epstein files, because I'm sure Bill Clinton and probably some other Democrats are probably all up in them too. So they probably don't want that out either. So again, because they're both taking the same money from the same people and caught up in the same corruption, the Democrats can't effectively fight back against the Republicans. So we're kind of stuck where we are and where we've been. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of hope going forward. When the Democrats do have a grassroots popular candidate like they do in New York, they'll do everything they can to destroy him and tear them down and go back to their losing ways. So that's about where we at right now.
CJ, I remember this was probably a few months back when Cory Booker did that, what was it, 24-hour filibuster? And you brought up the point that he never at one time mentioned the genocide that was taking place. And so I did, as you all have named me, the researcher. I went back and I did some research on it. And I just wanted to enlighten you on one thing. Cory Booker was a Rhodes Scholar. And when he was 23 years old, he studied at Oxford University. That was part of his Rhodes Scholarship. And this will probably surprise you, but Cory Booker, an African American, became the co-president of the Orthodox Jewish Student Association. So does that answer your question? Why he welcomes the genocide leader?
Well, I think it's more than that. He's taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from AIPAC too.
He is
So, I mean,
controlled by the Jews.
yeah, like it's the
They own
money.
him. So, it's sad.
Carlos, any thoughts?
Wow. Yeah, that was pretty tough. I have one thought. There's still starving children in the world, in this country, in our state, in Washington, D.C., in the DMV area. And President Trump is pushing for restoration of a torn down Confederate monument at Arlington National Cemetery. The restoration, the estimated restoration costs to restore this Confederate statue is $10 million. I'm not sure what they're doing to restore. That's going to cost $10 million. I could get 100 guys out there with 100 brushes and polish that thing down. And I could get a couple guys to drop a block of some cement. And I probably could do that for probably like $10,000, and they would probably all feel overpaid. So I'm not sure why it would cost $10 million to put back a statue that symbolize, hold on, let me tell you, the statue, the Confederate monument erected in 1914 was the creator of a sculptor and Confederate veteran. It features a classical female figure crowned with olive leaves representing the American South, alongside sanitized depictions of slavery. Why are we spending $10 million to put this back up? It is incredible, some of the things that happen. Again, every day he exceeds my expectations for anything. I just can't believe he does what he does. This makes no sense. If you're trying to pull the country back closer together, can we get rid? We're not trying to erase history. Put it in a museum. Put it, if you want to put it in a museum, there are good and bad in the museum, but in a place of eternal rest and where we want people to rest in peace, I would personally say this is a bad choice to have the statue. So that's my final thought of the day. Let's move forward with positivity and leave the past negativity behind us. And if you have to promote it somehow, put it in a museum where people can at least judge in a place that's not meant for eternal peace.
Carlos,
Peace and
just to piggyback off of what you just said, he's spending $50 million to rename all of the bases that were taken out of the names of the Confederate generals. And
Wow.
not only is he has to spend money to change the names, think about the interstate signs that have to be changed and all of the signage.
Incredible. That talking about a waste of taxpayer dollars. It's just incredible. So I don't know. I think we all just need to send a message when it's time to vote. I mean, when you vote in your local elections, for your state and your federal, we got to send a message. I mean, you can't waste that money. Again, there are people out here dying every day who need health care, who need food, who need jobs, and we're going to spend this much money. And I think there's another, what is it, 500 million or something crazy to move the space shuttle from the museum, Dulles Airstrip Museum, to Houston, Texas, just because he wants it there. Come on, man. People, it's crazy. So please vote.
Well, one of the things going on is he's not trying to pull the country together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I say it's not the purpose. Yeah, like
he's trying to separate the country.
It's like a joke. You got a racist, a con man, and a pedophile walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "What are you having today, Mr. Trump?" I mean, this is who he is. He's all those.
I mean, he's now talking about he wants to sue Oprah. He also wants to sue Beyonce, and he wants to lock up Obama. And I mean, the guy's a lunatic, but he's allowed to continue to gain
And the
power.
people around him are like that
You
as
know,
well.
I mean, it's amazing that this country has someone that's leading this country who is an infantile, who says that if the Washington Redskins don't change the name from the Commanders back to the Redskins, that he's going to withhold some federal funding.
Man, we're giving this guy way too much time.
Yeah.
He's not even presidential.
Yeah,
So
he shouldn't get this much air. Let me
no, he
throw out
should.
one other thing.
All right.
CJ, I want your opinion. Two things. What's the boy's name? Michael Parsons wanted to be traded from Dallas, and Terry McLaurin wanted to be traded from the Commanders.
Michael Parsons, I mean, I wouldn't want to play for Dallas either. I mean, who wants to play
I
for
ain't
Jerry
asked you for
Jones
that
these days?
commentary.
I'm just saying. He
I
said
didn't ask you for that part.
he seems to be fed up with Jerry Jones and the circus down there. So come on to Michael Parsons and Dan Quinn are tight. So
Yeah.
if if he does want to leave Dallas, there's a home for him up here. We need an edge rusher. I'm just saying. The Terry McLaurin thing's a little bit more complicated because everybody in the fan base is just like pay him whatever, give him a blank check, whatever he asks for, because he's been with us from thick and thin. Like
Right.
he's had some of the worst quarterback play you might maybe over the course of a career we've ever seen for somebody with the level of production that he has. 1,000 yards, being professional, showing up to this clown show every year, being the only consistent good thing that we've had over the past 6-7 years. He deserves the money, but I also understand this is the business aspect of it. He's 30 already. He wants top three, top four, top five money in the league at 30 years old already. You don't want to make that investment in a player that's, by the end of his contract will be 33, 34 years old, paying him. I think he wants north of 30 million a season. He wants, that he in that Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase type range of top five CD Lamb type money. So it's difficult. I mean, obviously, as a fan, because I am a fan, pay him. He deserves it. He deserves the overpay. Is it an overpay? I think it is, for his level of production. But he's earned the overpay for his loyalty to this garbage franchise. Before last year, he was in purgatory his entire career, catching passes from Taylor Heineke and just players that are bagging groceries right now. So he's deserved it for his service and professionalism and leadership. So I hope they can get a deal done. I'm thinking maybe like a 3-year deal, something shorter, so he can get the big money. But I'm sure that he wants that long term, financial security and investment. So they still seem to be far apart. But the reports are that they don't want to go above 30 per season, and he wants 32, 33, something about that range, maybe less than Jefferson and Chase, but more than in that CD Lamb range. So it's tough because you look at his production and it is hard to map other than last season. He had an incredible season last season, but that's the first season he's had a competent quarterback. So we don't know what his production would have looked like had he not had just complete nobody's throwing him the football for the first 7 years of his career. So had he had those numbers, he might have gotten the contract had he 1,400 yards per season. But you can't do that with Mark Sanchez throwing you the football. So it's tough.
Personally, I think it's theater. I think they're going to pay him, and I think they're going to keep him. On another note, I read something, and you don't know what's fake news anymore, but I read recently that Roger Staubach bought a ownership share in the Dallas Cowboys, and he's going to be one of the owners.
Man,
So
like I
that
said,
may,
that ain't the problem. Like I said, Jerry Jones, they got to do something about Jerry. Like I said, you can't have
yeah,
him scaring away the star
yeah,
players now.
yeah, he's the Dan Snyder, no doubt
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah.
He's the Dan Snyder of Dallas.
overpaying Dak Prescott. Now you got all that money on your books for a quarterback that you're not sure about.
That's another thing. Keep this in mind that in Washington, I agree, Terry McLaurin should get paid. The
That's right.
problem is you can't give him a long-term deal at such a high rate. In a couple years, Jaden Daniels is going to be off his contract, his rookie contract. If
Yeah.
you're gonna pay the house, you gotta keep Daniels, right? And you want to lock Daniels down to a long-term contract, but you got to have the money available. So that's why I like the fact that they signed a lot of players to 1 and 2 year contracts, because that keeps them in a position to keep the best quarterback that we've seen in 30 years here. So keep that in mind. Don't be surprised if McLaurin doesn't get traded. That's my prediction. I think they're going to trade him and get another player or get more draft picks so they can keep that money available for Daniels. I could be wrong. I like Terry, but I like Daniels more.
The only reason I don't think he gets his trade request is that he doesn't have any leverage. Like he's on the contract for he's still on the contract for another year. And then, as you know, they can franchise tag him 2 years in a row. So they really have 3 years of control over, but they also know the optics of somebody who's been so good to this franchise that you don't want to have him here as a hostage playing under the franchise tag when he doesn't want to be here and to not give him a long-term deal. So it would be more respectful to trade him for his service and to give him trade him to a team that will pay him what he feels like he's owed. But at the same time, he has no leverage to get out of here. So if they do just want to keep him at this number, and it could get it's already started to get a little ugly because he feels disrespected because he's been the captain of this team basically, and they seem reluctant to want to reward him for his service. But again, it's all these other business things behind the scenes, as you mentioned, cap stuff. They don't want to do any deal longer than 3 years, as you said. Then it starts to interfere with Jaden's extension and other things like that. So they have to be mindful of trying to do good business, but also do right by the player that has done right by the franchise.
True.
All
I'm
right,
sure
fellas.
CeeDee Lamb would invite him to come to Dallas.
Oh yeah, so there was a bunch of players that when Terry made his trade request were like, "Come on down, we could use you. He's a great player."
Jerry Jones will find that money. He can find that money.
Look, if you guys want to come up off Micah Parsons, then we can talk.
Oh man, we got a lot to think about here from the WNBA. Oh my goodness, all the way to politics with Booker leaning and hiding in the background to Terry McLaurin.
The WNBA's got to get their I don't know if you've seen the serial foreign object thrown on the court. I don't know how else to put it.
I've heard about those.
Yeah, there's a serial dildo thrower at WNBA games right now, and I think we're at our 3rd dildo that has hit the court during playoff action. And now there's a debate of how are they getting in the stadium, which is another question to ask because they patch it down when you come in, so I don't know how they're getting in, but there's an epidemic or a serial dildo thrower that needs to be apprehended at these games.
I've been seeing that on social media, particularly YouTube.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
No. Well, I mean, I guess it's probably safe for me to take us out on that note before we go any further. So we are the Thought Brothers. We gave you a lot to think about this week. We got a lot of feedback from last week's show, gentlemen. People who liked when the ladies took the mic for a little while, and it was very diverse with Janice Finn, corporate leadership, and Dr. Evelyn Bethune, and then Donna Gray Banks. So I thank those ladies for giving us a good show, and maybe toward the end of the year, we'll have to have ladies' mic. And I will tell you, I've been in touch with Nikki Sunshine, who's clamoring to come on back there and talk with Mr. Spivey and CJ, and maybe get Carlos in the mix this time. So look for Nikki Sunshine coming down the pipe. I'm Gary Johnson for the Thought Brothers. Until next week, we're out of here.
Good night.
When they ain't pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run, or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance, NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on Report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still lights of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the